Hello there! I am afraid that this week's stuff's a little bit late, but I'm sure you'll enjoy it just the same. I've got another lovely little lot of stuff to show you this week. Starting off, of course, with the little Legion figures, which I had sent to me and did my unboxing about and all that jazz. Very nice. Ratchet has to be the best one, if not the best Prime Legion figure. I'm not letting my character bias here cloud my judgment just because it's a Ratchet. I'm saying that this is actually probably the nicest figure, and he's slightly chunky and beefy and he's a lot of fun. RC is quite nice as well, but I am very glad that I didn't have to pay any money for this figure because my god, she's tiny even for a Legion figure. Definitely not worth £5 English. But saying that, it's quite amazing how well her face is painted. I mean, it's one of these situations where I would be able to see it better if I put it through my camera than I would with my bare eyes. That's how small the sort of paintwork going on is, but it is very, very well done. So my wave 1 is complete. Now I wait for a teeny tiny breakdown that's completely out of scale, and what else? Dark of the Moon Mirage Type 1 and that purpley sound wave. And God knows when we'll see them, because the shelves are still clogged with the same old wave 1 stuff that's been around for about, what, 4 or 5 months now? Still haven't found a Dreadwing or an Ironhide. The hunt continues, blah blah blah. The next robot I purchased this week through the wonderful medium of Amazon and used in decision-making power of an impulse buy, I bring to you Revenge of the Fallen Sonar, who in this light is practically invisible. Whoops. Suffice to say, he turns into a pitch black boat. I mean pitch black. It's just entirely it's just matte black plastic, and there's some sort of glossy sort of apps here and there, little splodges of glossiness and just red windows. It's very menacing looking, and putting him against who he's repainted of, Depth Charge, it looks completely different. I can have a battleships battle now. Woo! I'm not entirely sure if this guy is superior to Depth Charge, because I don't really know. Depth Charge just seems a bit more, well, colourful. I mean, the colour scheme on this guy isn't bad. I like all the blue against this black. I have compared him to Batman through this sort of colour scheme, and I'm not really sure as to how much of a sort of good Decepticon this mould makes. But either way, he does look very menacing in this colour scheme. He's got really little beady red eyes in there underneath this sort of camouflage hat. But all around, this mould I think is one of the best Scout ones. I mean, when I got Depth Charge I thought he was great. I mean, the only thing wrong with any iteration of this figure is scale, because of course he's a battleship that turns into a figure that is smaller than like every car in the line. So imagination there, I think, is what's needed. If you can sort of put that sort of issue aside and get behind what is actually a very good figure, then you'll find you've spent your money well and got something that's actually very, very articulate. I mean, most of the joints that you will find that let him boogie in robot mode actually come from the transformation, so it's all very well thought out. And he's one of the few Scout class figures that has weapons with these little rocket pods on his shoulders. I must say though, even though this is only the second use of this mould, there is some degradation already. I mean, well, I say already, this figure is like 2 years old now, but my Depth Charge doesn't come to pieces like this one does. The shoulder comes off, this bit of ship comes off his leg, and it's just, without trying, it's quite sad. But I suppose there's sort of, I don't know, battle damaged element there. Imagination again, what a wonderful thing. While he's nice, I'm still trying to assess whether the money I spent on him was well spent, because he's a repaint of a figure I've got and of a figure that is one of my favourites. and while this colour scheme is very nice, it follows the same cues as depth charge. Everything on this guy that is blue would be in, like, you know, the same place. All these black bits in exactly the same places on the robot mode would be blue on depth charge, and all of these blue bits on Sonar would be black on depth charge. Inverted colour scheme then. But he's nice, and to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing him get repainted again, but I think that was planned in some sort of 2-pack that was meant to come out in 2010 but never did. I've got no idea what he's going to look like in that, but this is one of those Scout figures which they haven't repainted a lot. I mean, I think all of the Revenge of the Fallen Scouts must have been repainted at least once, apart from maybe Scalpel and Ejector. But at least it's not like Knockout and got repainted like 5 or 6 times. So I'd say if you don't have a version of this guy, go and get one, because he's thoroughly ace. And you can use him to enact some sort of, well, I haven't seen Battleship. I'm not going to say good scene from Battleship, because as far as I know there aren't any. But maybe you can make your own version of Battleship that's like 100% better with some toys. And now onto the pièce de résistance. You've just seen a glimpse of it as I've flashed it before the camera before I should have done. Last week when I told everyone that I'd got my Mega Octane and showed off my Ruinaticus, and it was actually that same day that I put on Twitter, look what I've got, oh my god! Has anyone got an armour hide I can chuck on as a leg? And very promptly, Spiketicon on Twitter, I do believe he has a YouTube account and is known by certain people, he's a top-notch gent, he said, I'll chuck you mine with all the guns for £4. And I went, get in. Chucked in the money, and I've got an armour hide finally. A lovely little blue tank with a bit of a loose turret, but everything else is extremely tight on this figure. It's actually very hard to transform him sometimes. I don't know what it is, I don't know if it's dust in the joints. Who knows? But it's a very solid brick of a thing, and with these extra guns on, it just looks so much better than Brawl. I mean, look at that! Giant turrety goodness. One thing I do find slightly odd though is the fact that all of the other combiner dudes of this group, I don't know what you'd call them, I call them Combaticons because there isn't a better name for them. They all have orange bits somewhere, and I thought that Armorhide would, so it's like a sort of theme, because when you combine them all, it's like you're sort of showing off all the orange bits when they're combined, and it gives a bit of a unified colour scheme. Armorhide hasn't got any orange at all, which baffles me as to why the others are covered in big orange bits on their chests or whatever. But I don't mind. It's very nice. I don't really know what this sort of camouflage would be for, but it looks good, and he's got a nice Decepticon symbol on there, and all these grey bits, actually a really lovely gunmetal shiny colour. But of course, the one thing we're all here to see is this. I have a complete ruination after 10 years. 10 years ago is when I got the first bits, and within the space of 2 weeks I have got the majority of the rest of the pieces, and just, my word, look at this thing. It does look a lot better with the whole neon glariness of Mr. G2 down here. And yes, this is the configuration which the instructions tell you to do him in, with him round this way, which looks a bit odd, but I can dig it. It feels so good to have properly completed it, and I can give him a big gun as well, because Armorhide's big turrety thing can go on Rollbar's gun. It's not complete because I haven't got any of Rotor's guns, which one would go in there, and then I think Mova's gun would go on Mega Octane's gun in this hand. And so he's not 100%, I need to get some guns, but I'm really not bothered about that because I've got a massive robot destruction machine of death here. And I'm very much hoping that they repaint the Fall of Cybertron Bruticus in this colour scheme, because then Hasbro really will have a lot of my money. That's the lot for this week. I'd better get editing and uploading this, considering that the last episode, I'm going a bit Tom Baker, uploaded in about 8 hours. I'd better get toddling on. Whoa! I just hit my computer and it beeped at me. Sorry for the lighting. I'm a bit of a twit for coming in here and doing it like this on a day where it's just the sky is, well, a lot brighter on camera than it actually looks. It's a horrible day, so I'm going to sit inside and edit. Woo, goodbye.